Hey everybody, it's Eric with Chaotic Goods, or for those of you who know me in the Grand Archive scene, Eric the Volunteer. Today I'm doing a little bit of a new series I wanted to start, as I am just a huge fan of Grand Archive's new format, Pantheon. And if you're not familiar with Pantheon, it is a singleton 4-player free-for-all format where you're basically just playing as the last man standing, trying to duke it out against other players at the table, involving politics and all of those good things that just really bring casual, for fun gameplay to Grand Archive, which I'm a huge fan of. And the best part about the Pantheon format is just the absolutely absurd ways that you can deck build. You have boons that allow you to have multiple elements or different types of classes, or just these wild things that you never would have in standard. And it being singleton format really makes you have to search through the card archive and try and figure out what cards work best. And that's what I'm starting with this series, is I'm gonna go over the 10 best wind cards for Pantheon decks. Now, a little bit of a disclaimer, I am not including class bonus cards. There are some class bonus cards that are just absolutely absurd. I really wanted this to be a generic wind element list for those of you who may be unfamiliar with the wind element and you're trying to figure out what you should put in the deck. And I think these cards, if you're playing wind, you should absolutely have probably all 10 of them in your deck. I'm not going to include very basic wind element cards like Displace, Zephyr, or Reclaim, because I think these cards are just generically good and you should probably be playing them in wind anyway. These cards that I'll be putting in this list are ones that I think are really good and maybe something that you've just never seen because it's not in standard in the first place. So the first one I want to talk about is Diablerie. Now, Diablerie is #1 on my list. I think any wind deck in Pantheon should be running this card because, yes, it may be very niche, but if you have this card, the absolute mind games you can play with your opponents is just so good. So what does it do? Diablerie is a 2-cost fast speed that says the next time a Regalia with Divine Relic would enter the field this turn, it enters the field under your control instead. You can steal someone's Quicksilver Grail, their Grand Crusader's Ring, their Looking Glass, their Mercurial Heart, anything except for Lost Providence, and that's only because it doesn't materialize, it activates instead. So this card is just fantastic. There is a Vanitas bonus with Floating Memory, but we can ignore that because unless you are playing Vanitas, it doesn't really matter for you. What I like to do personally is you can imbue something, let's say Windmill Engineer, which means you have to put 2 cards face up when putting them into your memory to imbue it. Well, you can simply just play Windmill Engineer, use Diablerie along with another wind card to imbue it, basically telling everybody at the table that you have Diablerie, and the next time they're going to bring out a Divine Relic, it is yours, which is just crazy. You are basically mind gaming your opponents the entire rest of the game to whether or not they should play their Divine Relic, which is just pure bliss, honestly. Now, Orchestrated Seizure falls along the same lines of that evil theme of Diablerie, and it is why it's #2 on my list. And what Orchestrated Seizure is a 3-cost fast speed card that says activate this card only during an opponent's end step. During your next materialization phase, you may banish cards with floating memory from your opponent's, plural, opponent's graveyards to pay for memory costs. So let's say everybody's gone through their turns, it's coming back to you, and you are at the end of your opponent's phase, right before they move to your turn, you play Orchestrated Seizure. Orchestrated Seizure means that, hey, you are going to go to level 3, maybe level 2. Personally, I would use it to go to level 3 to steal all of the floating memory from your opponent's graveyards in order to be a level 3 champion. You could even do this if you were playing something, maybe you had a very expensive Regalia item that you wanted to bring out. You can just materialize cards using your opponent's floating memory, which is stripping them of those resources. And it's really just fantastic. This is another one of those things that you could showcase with the imbue. You can put it down and be like, hey, at some point during this game, your floating memory is going to be mine. and there's just nothing you can do about it unless, you know, there's some sort of graveyard hate that they have to immediately sort of activate. It's really just gaming your opponents, which is honestly a lot of the fun with Pantheon. In slot number 3, I've already brought this card up, and that is Windmill Engineer. This card is fantastic. Even in standard Wind decks, she is just extremely good. She is a 2-cost 1/1 with Imbue 2. And on enter, if Windmill Engineer is imbued, draw a card into your memory. We want to draw as many cards as possible, especially in Pantheon where everything is a 1-of, so draw engine cards really mean so much to us. And Windmill Engineer being just a 2-cost 1/1, easy to imbue with 2, she allows us to sort of mind game our opponents. We could show Diablerie, we could show Orchestrated Seizure, we could show some other wind cards that we have, but basically, hey, you put her down, it's a 1/1, you imbue, you draw a card into memory. Fantastic staple in any wind deck that you're running in standard or even in Pantheon. Now, number 4 is something I didn't even really think about because it's just one of those cards that wasn't really played. And then I saw it and I was like, wow, this actually is just crazy in Pantheon, because with the release of Radiant Origins, there are so many new ways to level up your champions and materialize those champion cards and bring cards out that you would just kind of cheat out of your material deck. Eternal Magistrate is a great way to stop your opponents from doing that. And she is a 2-cost 1/3 with Imbue 2. And it says, as long as Eternal Magistrate is imbued, cards don't leave your opponent's material decks unless it's their material phase. This is a very niche scenario, obviously, but being able to put her out and stopping your opponents from doing any sort of cheat activations or materializations rather, it puts a stop to a lot of strategies that may exist, because now they have to do it on their materialization phase or they have to get rid of Eternal Magistrate. And being Wind, we have a lot of ways to just kind of keep her safe and make sure that, you know, we can bring her back, play it again, and just kind of gimmick our opponents with the card, making sure that they're only playing cards on their materialization phase. Now, number 5 on the list is Primeval Ritual. It's a 3-cost fast speed card that reads, as an additional cost to activate this card, sacrifice an ally, return target wind element card from your graveyard to your memory. That's huge. Let's say we've already hit level 3, we have Dungeon Guide or Academy Guide or something else on the field that we just don't need anymore, but there's something that we already use that we really want in our grave. You know, maybe it's a Windmill Engineer, maybe it's Advantageous Perch, maybe it's Displace. It could be any wind element card, which just makes this card so good. And all we have to do is sacrifice an ally and pay 3, and it doesn't go to our hand, it just goes into the memory, which is fantastic. So really good card to just be able to bring something back. And yeah, if there is graveyard hate, suddenly this card is useless. We have to get rid of the graveyard hate in order to bring a wind element card specifically back. But being able to grab a single card, because again, Pantheon is a singleton format, being able to grab one card back and use it again is just a huge, huge boon in Wind to be able to use the card again. All right, now number 6 is actually a class bonus card, but you can use this card without the class bonus, which is fine. And that is Stifling Trap. It's a 2-cost fast speed. It's class bonus. It does read, if it's not your turn, you may remove 2 preparation counters from your champion to activate this card from your memory without paying its reserve cost. So if you are Assassin, you can use that class bonus. But again, we're ignoring the fact that the class bonus exists, and we're just gonna read the other part, which is deal 2 damage to target ally, then negate on enter triggers from that ally. If you've played in standard at all, you know that this card in Wind is just an absolute menace. You put out Dungeon Guide, you get hit with a Stifling Trap, suddenly your Dungeon Guide is useless. It sucks. We've all been there, probably. It's just not fun. But this is a great way to stop your opponent's on-enter triggers. And it's not just with Dungeon Guide. Any sort of on-enter ability that you're just suddenly like, I don't want that to activate, boom, you hit it with the Stifling Trap for 2, and you just deal damage to that target, and you negate any all on-enter effects that they may trigger. It's a great stop all. Yeah, you're probably going to be the target of the table at that point, but maybe what you're stopping is a pretty big thing. Or maybe you're just being petty, like me. You just activate it on a Dungeon Guide and be like, nah, no, not today. Or maybe a Windmill Engineer, who knows? Being singleton format, you don't necessarily want to throw this card at anything. You really want to have it in your back pocket and throw it out at a big target with that on-enter ability. Now, number 7 is a slot that is actually 2 cards, and they kind of do the same thing, but one is a much bigger effect. And that's the first one we're going to talk about here, and that is Dissipation. Dissipation is a wind exalted card, meaning that you have to have an advanced element enabled in order to use the card, which means, being Umbra or Neos or something along those lines. 3 cost, slow speed, that says destroy all Phantasias. That's a pretty big deal. And of course, by it saying destroy all Phantasias, you are in fact destroying the Phantasias you have on your side of the board. So this is very much a board wipe for Phantasias. But if you're playing against somebody who is using a large fractal deck or possibly something along the lines of Arasana, and you just don't want to deal with that, you just drop Dissipation down for 3 at slow speed. It does give your opponents a way to interact with that, but you're just saying, hey, I'm going to nuke the board of all Phantasias. What are you going to do about it? Now, the other one in the same line on number 7 is going to be Noble Dissolution. This is a 2-cost fast speed exalted card that says destroy up to 3 target Phantasias. So it's 1 cost cheaper, it's fast speed, and you are selecting 3 target Phantasias that you want to get rid of. Now, it's not a nuke all that Dissipation is, but it does allow you to destroy 3 target Phantasias that you don't necessarily want on the field, which is very important. In Pantheon, Phantasias are everywhere. They're everywhere. I'm running Umbra Diana, and I have Phantasias in my deck. So it's something that are so annoying that it's really important that you get rid of these, because the effects that these Phantasias offer are very strong. So being able to either destroy everything or destroy up to 3 are just really key things that you should have in your Pantheon deck when you're running Wind. Now at number 8 is just a very old card from DOA that did get reprinted with RDO, and that is Ensnaring Fumes. Ensnaring Fumes is a 5 cost, which is a little bit expensive, but we're playing Wind, so it's okay. 5 doesn't matter. Fast speed card that says you may remove 3 preparation counters from your champion rather than paying this card's reserve cost. Return all allies to the owner's hands. Class bonus floating memory. So odds are, if you're playing as an assassin, you do have those preparation counters, and the class bonus floating memory is nice. But if you're not, it's fine. It's still 5, and we're returning all allies to the owner's hands, which is crazy. It being singleton format, the allies that your opponents are playing and putting on the board, sometimes they're scary. Maybe you're going against a Foster deck. Maybe you're going against a Horses deck or a Slime Tamer deck, and there's just nothing you can do to kind of get back into the swing of things. And you're just like, you know what? Let's start over. So you put down Ensnaring Fumes at fast speed at the end of one of your opponent's turns, and boom, all allies go back to their hand. You just cleared the board, giving you the advantage to maybe swing at your opponent for a kill and, knock somebody out of the tournament. It's really good, and for 5, it's not a big deal. If you're playing Assassin, great. It's even better, but really 5 isn't that big of a deal when you get to the late game of Pantheon. Now, number 9 is probably one of my favorite Wind cards that came out in the Radiant Origins set, and that is Aella, or Aella. I don't really know how to pronounce her name. You can correct me down below if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but Aella, Zephyr's Hand. She is a 3-cost, 2/3 exalted Wind card. So in order to play her, you do have to have that advanced element enabled, but her effect is so good. She is a fast activation ally, and her effect is 3, so pay 3, as a spell, suppress, and I'm gonna read the errata version here, another target ally item or weapon. That ability costs 3 less to activate the first time you activate it. So with a fast activation, you pay 3 to bring Aella out, you activate her ability to suppress, an item, a weapon, or a target ally on your opponent's field. You're like, no, I don't want that to trigger right now. And it's great. It's free to do that ability the first time. Even better, you can displace Aella, bring her back, and then do it again. Because that effect, when you read it, it is the first time you activate it on the field. So as long as she stays on the field, yeah, you're paying 3 every time to activate her ability. But if she returns to your hand or returns to the memory and you play her again, you are able to activate that fast activation spell for free again. It's extremely strong, really good against just bouncing something. Maybe you want to bounce something on your field. Maybe you want to bounce an ally that's attacking into you or an ally that's attacking into your buddy. And you're like, hey, I'm going to do you a favor. Boom, suppress. It's great. And she's a 2/3, so she's just generically good stats. And yeah, there's really just, I love this card. I need to get the CSR. If you have the CSR, hit me up. So the last card, number 10 on the list here that I think every Wind Pantheon deck should be running is Scatter Essence. It is a 2-cost, slow speed, destroy target Fantasia with floating memory. Generic floating memory is really good. You want floating memory to be able to, you know, materialize something, go into a champion, whatever the case may be. And yes, its slow speed isn't necessarily ideal, but even if your opponents interact with it, whatever, you have that floating memory now in your graveyard to use to materialize something. But as I stated, what was on list number 7 is destroying Fantasias is important. So even if you're destroying one target Fantasia, getting rid of that, it's just a huge boon to you. And then you have that floating memory to go ahead and activate, you know, your next materialization phase, hoping your opponents don't steal it from you with Orchestrated Seizure or something like that. It's just really good. And I think that that card is just a must-have into any Wind deck. There are some honorable mentions that I do want to bring up here that I thought were good, that yeah, you should have these, but I didn't want to make a huge long list. But I am going to bring these up, and no, it's not Zephyr or Display or Reclaim. So the first one is actually just kind of a little silly. I ran into it and I was like, that actually is just really funny. So it's Poisonous Breeze Cap. And it's a 3-cost Cleric Mushroom. And it says if Poisonous Breeze Cap would be suppressed, you may sacrifice it instead. If you do, each opponent banishes a card at random from their memory. On enter, draw a card into your memory. It's a really good way to just put it on the field, draw a card into your memory, and then just look at everybody in the face and be like, I'm going to suppress this, and you're all going to discard something at random from your memory. And the best part is you can bring it back with Primeval Ritual, play it again, draw a card in your memory, suppress it, sacrifice it. Everybody's discarded 2 cards at that point because you're an evil human being. This one almost squeezed into my top 10 list, but I left it out because there are some times where you just won't be able to do the ability unless you're running a lot of advanced element cards. And in Pantheon, I think I'm running like 19 or something like that, which is a third of my deck, which is crazy. But the angel cards that came out in RDO really have brought light to the advanced element decks, and Tempestuous Seraphim is no different. She's a 3-cost, 2/2 with fast activation, advanced imbue 2, and it says on enter, as a spell, if Tempestuous Seraphim is imbued, deal 4 damage to target attacking ally. 4 damage is no joke. 4 damage is a lot of damage, especially in Grand Archive. So if you advanced imbue 2, fast activate her to bring her out, you are suddenly just, as a spell, nuking something with 4 life, which can kill most things. And it's just really strong. And I think this is an honorable mention because I feel like it should be in the list that you absolutely run this card. But again, it's singleton format. Maybe you see this card and it's just way too late for you, and having a 2/2 body isn't enough. But hey, maybe you have something on the board that's being attacked and you don't necessarily want it to be destroyed. You fast activate Tempestuous Seraphim, deal 4 damage to the attacking ally. It's great. It's very niche, but I think that it is a fantastic card, which is why it's in the honorable mentions list. Now, the last card here in my honorables mention list is going to be Ravaging Tempest. I believe it was True Champions who mentioned this card, or maybe it was Creative Shock, I don't quite remember, in one of their must-have Pantheon videos. But this is an 8-cost fast speed card. So it is expensive, but it does have efficiency, which means this card costs level less to activate. So, you know, if your champion's level 3, this is suddenly costing 5 instead of 8, which is a lot more tolerable. And it just says banish all allies. For each ally banished this way, its controller draws a card. It's a fantastic board wipe. Similar to Ensnaring Fumes, where you're just pushing everything back into everybody's hands, this instead just says, I'm gonna banish it all when we're all gonna draw cards. So if you're going against very ally-heavy decks, you know, something like Neos or Terra Slimes, this is just a fantastic way to be like, no, you're gonna banish everything, we're gonna start over, and you can draw cards. So, really good card, definitely an honorable mention. I don't think it needs to go in every Wind deck, but there are times where a board wipe is just necessary. And this and Ensnaring Fumes are probably interchangeable slots within the top 10, which is why I wanted to bring it into the honorable mentions list. So there you have it. Those are my personal top 10 wind cards that you should be slotting into every Pantheon deck as long as you're playing the wind element, or if you're subbing into the wind element with a boon. I think these cards are absolutely fantastic and will really swing the tempo of your games. So if you think I missed any, let me know down in the comments below. I'm going to be doing a water and a fire series for this, and then I'm going to be branching out into class specific cards that I think should be slotted into this. And I don't really know if I'm going to do each element with class specific or if I'm just going to do generic ranger good cards or something along those lines. If you have any feedback, let me know down in the comments below. I have never really done a video like this before, so I'm excited to start bringing more Pantheon content to the channel, as I am just a huge fan of Grand Archive's new format, and I honestly think everybody should be playing it. Well, with all that, thanks everybody, and I hope you have a good night.